Well, flash floods overnight in Colorado have killed 3 more people, left hundreds stranded in the mountains.
Schools and businesses have been forced to close.
And yet more rain is falling. Happening right now, rescuers are working to assess the damage and reach those still stranded by the floodwaters.
Today, Wayne got a chance to talk to the Weather Channel's Jim Cantore about how all of this compares with flooding we've seen recently here in central New York.
With me right now, Jim Cantore out in Boulder, Colorado, where obviously we've heard all about the devastating floods out there. Jim, just a few questions for you. I mean, you've seen so much bad weather, and even right here in central New York, as many parts of the country have had, we've had our own localized flooding that has done damage. I think on a national scale, though, Jim, I would say that people remember the intensity and the look, the video of Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans type of flooding. You've been there, you've seen this. How does this Colorado flooding compare to New Orleans?
You know, actually it's very, very similar because if you think about in New Orleans, when the levees broke, you instantly had a wall of water that came in at a tremendous force. All right, so it's 20 feet high and all of a sudden it comes rushing out into an area that's below where that levee was protecting. So that's a phenomenal force. An unthinkable force. Here, you had so much water falling, accelerating down the steep mountainsides, coming through creeks here. And look at this road behind me, Wayne. This is actually a street. People live, that's been undermined some 3 to 4 feet because of the ferocity of that water. I mean, that is just incredible. And these are the scenes that we find all across Boulder County. I mean, this is a mountain city. But if you go and you look at the list of cities that are most prone to flood, amazingly, Boulder is one of the top 10.
Really? And what's amazing too, Jim, is 20 inches of rain. We've heard totals of that, 20 inches of rain from this storm in some areas around Boulder.
Right.
Now, you don't normally get that. Even with a hurricane, a tropical system, you'd be, you know, might be hard pressed to get 20 inches of rain, but the mountains are a key where you are, right?
Ooh. Yeah, they really are. I mean, this was essentially, for about 5 days or so, the same atmosphere that you would find over Tallahassee, Florida. All right, to just kind of compare atmospheres. Very tropical in nature. So if you were to take that whole column of air and squeeze all the moisture out of it, you could wind up with 1 to 3 inches of rain just from that column alone. The mountains, like you said, enhance that. They can even produce more rain at a much more rapid pace. So we had 5 to 7 days of this, Wayne, and by time all is said and done, nearly 20 inches of rain in Boulder. That's what they would normally get in a year. So a year's worth of rain in 7 days. Think about that. There's no place for that water to go. No place.
And the Colorado Front Range, I'm going to guess this is an extremely rare event. Can't rule it out again in the future, but extremely rare.
No, I mean, what makes this event different is if you look at a Big Thompson Canyon flood, which flooded again, by the way, we actually exceeded that crest. Fort Collins, these were very localized events, all right? This was like 5 or 6 of them all together because it was on such a large scale. I mean, 17 counties. Disaster areas. And what made it so difficult in terms of search and rescue is the fact that roads like this were undermined and completely cut off. There was no way to get to the victims. So we had to wait 2 days for the weather to clear. And finally, by Monday afternoon, with the chopper pilots pretty much with their hands on their finger, ready to kind of start that switch, they were off and back in the mountains, and the rescues ensued. Now, we still have over 200 people that are unaccounted for. 6 deaths at this point that are, you know, being blamed on the flood. The death toll certainly could go up, but we're hoping still that those unaccounted for will be found, if you will, or rescued back in the mountains that are still waiting for help. They still haven't gotten everybody out of there.
Oh, boy, terrible situation. But, Jim, thank you. Thanks for giving us the insight on what's really going on there. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Wayne.
You can watch Disaster in the Rockies on the Weather Channel, 8 o'clock tonight. Interesting to see Jim and Wayne there chatting about Colorado and all that devastation.
It's been devastating out there, gosh.
Well, a crash involving at least